right, we are back for another wonderful, fantastic episode of the Towing the Line podcast. Yes, it is still called that, so I reckon we're going to settle in for this one. I did have a suggestion this week come through for a new name. I'm going to get it up right now because I'm talking about the name on my notes. Can't remember what it was, but it was wonderful. The Mindset Manifesto. And I heard that and I was like, damn, that's fucking, like, that rolls off the tongue real fucking nice. But I feel like it limits me to talking about mindset, which I have a lot of things I want to talk about. So I don't know, but that is a fucking wonderful name. So I'd love to call it that, but we're going to settle with Towing the Line for now. Anyway, the start of this week was exceptionally challenging for me. I don't know why. I was just in a shit place mentally. I think with the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff going on, I was just a bit bummed out, a bit flat, as I'm sure a lot of Melburnians are, and a lot of people in Sydney are, like, at the moment. But as the week progressed, it seemed to get better. I had a rest day planned for Wednesday, and then Tuesday I ran with my boy, Ben, Dr. Fat. We ran in the rain in the afternoon. We actually got pretty lucky. Like, I managed to snag a video for Instagram as it was hailing. And then pretty much our whole run was wet from the rain before, but we didn't get rained on that much. It was probably only like 5 or 10 minutes we got rained on. So it looked worse than it was. Finished that and I was like, bruh, I'm so fucking tired. Like, this was Tuesday. I was exhausted. I was so keen for my rest day on Wednesday. Got up. Had a day off training on Wednesday. It was great. And then I have this thing that usually happens to me when I am training and get to a point where I'm really tired. It happens probably once every six weeks to two months. And whenever I get really, really tired, I will sleep in through my alarm on one day, and I just will not have any recollection of turning my alarm off. And that happened to me on Thursday. So I had Wednesday off, and then Thursday morning, I was lying in bed, and because the moon's been pretty bright lately, I was lying there, and I was like, oh, it's so bright outside. Just go back to sleep. It's probably like 12 o'clock, and, tangent. So I also don't like checking the time when I'm asleep in bed, because I feel like if you check the time, then it stresses you out. Like, if you check the time and it's, 2:30 and you got to get up at 4, it's like, oh, only an hour and a half. There's no way I'm going to get back to sleep. And then you start stressing about it. Whereas if you don't check the time, for all you could still have, it could be like 12 o'clock or it could be 11 o'clock and you could have a whole night's worth of sleep. So I just choose not to check the time normally. So flash forward, I was lying there Thursday morning. I was like, I'm not checking the time because I've checked it the last 2 nights, because it's been bright outside. It's been like 12 o'clock and it hasn't even, I've still got a whole night's sleep. So I was like, I'm not checking the time. I know it's 12 o'clock. This is ridiculous. I'm just going to try and go to sleep. I tried, was there for probably 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, fuck. All right, I have to get up. I don't care if it's early. I'm just going to get up and go and do my session in the morning because I can't sleep. And I checked the time and it was like 6 o'clock, and I was like, fuck. I've slept in. And I was super bummed out, but I was like, all right, this was obviously coming because I was bloody tired for like the whole week leading into it. So I was wrapped. I ended up with like 9.5 hours sleep because I went to bed like 7:30 or something the day before, so it was obviously much needed. So my body was obviously trying to tell me, hey man, you need some sleep. So I got it. I got my sleep. I was wrapped. So that brings us to Thursday. Then, what did I do Thursday? I did a run and had a ride. Then Friday, I had a double. I chose, because pools are shut, I've been given the option of either doing ski erg intervals or a strength session. And I do not like, rephrase that. I do like ski erg intervals, but at the moment, mentally, I just can't handle them. I'm like, I just can't be fucked sitting there on the ski erg for an hour, like, or more, skiing pointlessly. I just can't wrap my head around it. So I'm opting to do strength sessions instead. So I woke up Friday morning and I was like, all right, let's do some legs. Train legs, did a bit of, squat and vertical push-pull. So I did some squats, pull-ups, and lots of movements in that plane. And then Friday afternoon, I was like, I don't really want to train, but I'm gonna. So I did some upper body. And boy, oh boy, my arms, like my biceps especially, are just fucking cooked. Biceps and lats. So I was riding yesterday, and the first thing that blew up on my body wasn't my legs. It was my fucking biceps from Friday afternoon session. Ridiculous. Having a drink of water, sorry. Yeah, bloody ridiculous. So, but good session. Good sessions to finish off the week. So speaking of yesterday's ride, it was actually a really good ride. So I started riding. I was like, all right, I had 4 hours. I was like, I'm just going to hit King Lake 4 times and then come home, which would get me like maybe just over 4 hours. So I was on my way out there at 6:30 in the morning. Wanted to start early because I didn't want to get rained on. And then on my way out there, I ran into James and Das. And then they were like, hey, come to the city with us. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. I was happily changed my mind. So we rode to St Kilda Beach from our way, which was a return trip for me was about 108, so nearly 110 Ks. And I think those boys did like 120, something like that. But it was a solid ride. It was a good day. Like, going there was fucking so much fun. We were just zooming along. And then on the way back, it was a different ball game. I think the wind picked up a bit. And I did not pack enough food for the ride. So I bombed out a little bit on the way back. Probably got back. I probably had half an hour left of where I needed to go to get back home. And I was like, I am toast. I'm done. Like, my body was like, bro, you got nothing. Like, I'd try and put in going up the hills, and my body just had nothing to give. So, I felt that feeling a few times. I felt that feeling lots. So I knew exactly what it was, and I was like, I'm just going to have to, cruise home on this one. Sorry. Yeah, so I did. I just cruised home. Thankfully, those boys, they didn't blow me off. They just hung around, like they went ahead and then waited for me. So that was nice of them. But made it back before the rain. And yeah, good ride. And then later in that day, I just fucking bombed out even further. I think I was dehydrated too, which is not a surprise with me. I don't drink enough water either. So I just had I was just fucked. I had a headache. I felt like shit. Didn't eat enough, didn't drink enough, and then made fried rice for dinner. Great way to end the day. And then had brownie for dessert, which was delicious. And then watched Kill Bill 2. Watched Kill Bill 1 Friday night and Kill Bill 2 last night. Quentin Tarantino, he nailed it. Anyway, then this morning I had a run planned to do, and I was like, I don't really want to do that run. So I was like, I'm just going to do what I want. So I did. I caught up with Ben, and we ran 15 Ks with just the two of us. Then we jumped in. He works at Body Fit Montmorency, and they had a little run crew. So there was a little group. We caught up with them, and then I ran I think we ran an extra 9 Ks or something with them. So it ended up being around 24, pretty much exactly, not around 25. I was giving myself extra Ks there. So I ran around 24 Ks at a pretty cruisy pace, which was delightful. We talked all the shit and froze our asses off once we stopped. But great session for the morning. Now, that brings me to the point, or not the point, another thing that happened this week. I made the call to pull out of Sunshine Coast Half Ironman. It was just annoying me. He was giving me extra stress and extra pressure that I didn't need. Like, I've done my fucking big goal this year. I don't need to do another half Ironman so close. So I was like, I'm transferring out. I've transferred to Melbourne in November, the Melbourne 70.3. Like, my main justification for it was, firstly, I can't swim at the moment, which is, like, swimming takes a while to build. It's probably the slowest of the 3 legs to build, and it's the one you lose quickest. So you don't swim for a week, you've lost a lot. You don't swim for 2 weeks, you've lost fucking heaps. You don't swim for 3 weeks, you're almost back to square one. So I was like, I don't need that bullshit. I don't need that negativity. So I pulled out, transferred. Now I'm doing Melbourne in November, so I don't have to stress about that, which is why at the moment, or this week going forward, I suppose, my training, I have a training program to follow, but it is not strict. So I can kind of do what I want, change things around, ride more, ride less, do what, run more, run less. I can do what I want. I can hit strength sessions when I need. I can take days off if I need. I don't have to put pressure on myself. And I am very much looking forward to just enjoying my training at the moment because, other shit's going on and I just want to enjoy it. I want it to be my happy place, my enjoyment zone. So that's what it's going to be for the next however long until I need to ramp back up to hit Melbourne 70.3. But anyway, if I was to look at this week, or if I was to look at what's going on at the moment in terms of lockdowns and stuff like that, I think it's so important that we just try and put our focus on the things we can control. Like, it fucking sucks and it's so frustrating being, so out of not being able to handle, not being able to control anything. We can't. Let's face it. Like, we can be as frustrated as we want, but we can't change shit. So I think it's so difficult being in that position and having that mindset. So I think what's so important for us is to just try and control what we can control, and then whatever happens outside of that is going to happen. Which is, it's taken me, I won't lie, like this lockdown's kind of got me rattled a bit, but it's taken me a little bit to realize that. So yeah, there's a lot of mental uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in general with what's going on at the moment, but we've just got to focus on what we can control and try and stay on top of the things that we can. And then that way, when we come out of it, we are gonna have progressed. Even if it's a little bit, we're gonna have progressed rather than, letting shit slide and then feeling even worse when things do open up. So just try and stay on top of things and try and, as hard as it is, just try and stay positive. So last Sunday, I had so we've got a dog at home. His name is Axel. He's a golden retriever poodle, a groodle, as you will. We've also got another dog, Hudson, who's a bit older. Hudson's probably 5 and Axel's like less than a year, so let's say 9 months or something. And Axel's a little ball of fucking energy. So last Sunday I had a double run day, and I was like, I'm just going to do it at the track because it was I'm just going to tell you the exact session, that way there's no confusion. So it was basically 2K warm-up, 3x1K with 200 meter float. Yeah, so 2K warm-up, 200 meter cruise. Then it was 3x1K with 200 meter float, and then it was 2K cool down or something like that. Ended up being 7K. So whatever 7Ks is in those quantities. And I decided, I was like, I'm going to take him and run him into the fucking ground, show him what's up. And he did well. I took him out for the 2K warm-up, and then he was, pretty flat after that. Like, he was pretty run out. So I tied him up on the fence with a bowl of water, and he could watch me run around the track. And then Hudson came back. Caitlin took Hudson for a bit of a stroll as well. Then, when Hudson got back, she tied him up next to Axel, and I was, by the time I did a couple of laps or whatever, and I did my 3K of efforts and got to my cool down. I was like, all right, cool, I'll take Axel now. Went on time, and then like Hudson started getting all weird because he wanted to come too, and I was like, oh my god, fine, whatever. So I got Caitlin to grab Hudson and walk him around the track while I ran with Axel. And we took off first, and Caitlin took off second. And then by the time I looped back around to where we started, Axel had picked up Hudson's scent on the track and could smell him and was like, where is he? And started running very hard. And then he saw him across the other side of the track and just fucking bolted. This motherfucker was sprinting so fast. I was just trying to hang on for my life. So I thought I would run him into the ground, and I was very wrong. He did well. He held himself up, he was accountable. I don't know. Not really. He was just much better than I thought. So I'd like to try and, if I don't have to run some, stupid long distance, I'd like to slowly build him up to to the 5-10k mark and see how he goes. See how he goes with that. That was lots of fun. So if I have double run days, he'll make a feature. He'll make an appearance. Yeah, it's better. He'll make an appearance for show. What else happened this week? Oh, that's right. So on Friday, I bought a crypto horse. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are into the I'm sure some of you are into the crypto space. So there's this. Do your research, trust me. I was listening to the Hamish and Andy podcast, and I got this from those guys. I've been sitting on the decision for like probably 2 months. Maybe, 2 months, probably, around that mark. Anyway, I'm going to yawn. Oh. If you yawn too, that's hilarious. I just love how that works. Anyway, it's a crypto horse, or an NFT, as you will. It's basically this platform where they have these algorithms that create horses with different attributes. And they've got a limited run of Genesis horses, which are the OGs, like the purebreds. And they're going to have a limited run of 32,000 of them. And within those 32,000, they can breed with each other and have offspring that are also horses that you can buy and race. And they all have their unique coding or unique genome that gives them different attributes to make them good at other runs, like good at certain distances, sprints, whatever. And because they're on the blockchain, you can't replicate them, you can't duplicate them, you can't steal them. Like once you have that horse, it's yours. So you keep them like in a wallet, in a crypto wallet. I think through MetaMask or something like that. Anyway, it's a wild universe out there. So I was like, I'm gonna just bite the bullet, jump in, buy one. It was like $300 or something. And my thought process behind it was, because there's such a bad light surrounding horse racing in general, with what kind of happens behind the scenes. One day I feel like crypto racing could be the thing, because it's not fixed. It's not like that bullshit, virtual racing you see at the TAB, which is just a load of crap. It's, actual fucking, I feel like it's more legit. So I jumped in, bought a horse, and, let me tell you about that. Got a bit of a sore throat, bit of a dry throat, I should say. So I jumped in, got in a few races. I think I've done 4 or 5 so far, and oh my God, it has come like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Not in the top 3 at all. So it's, I was like, oh man, of course though. So I don't know, might have to do a bit more research and buy a better fucking horse than the one I got. But I'd like to, if I win a few, then I could breed it and then sell those offspring and make money, but we'll see. It's an interesting experiment anyway, so I'll keep you guys updated on that, how I go with old Sergeant Reckless. Bought it because the name sounded cool. So that has pretty much been my week so far. Another thing. I read it like 2 seconds ago. I already forgot it. How's that? Jeez. That's right. So I listen to a fucking lot of podcasts, and I've listened to another Rogan one that I would recommend. It's with Abby Martin. Yeah, Abby Martin, and it's on, like, she's a journalist, and it's the main meat, or the main tofu of the fucking podcast is about the dispute that's going on at the moment in Israel, between Israel and Palestine. And it's like, it just opens your eyes to a lot of shit that's going on that we don't even fucking know about over here. We don't even get that shit. All we see on the news is fucking coronavirus this, coronavirus that, blah, 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 blah. Whereas, like, I listened to it and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's wild what is going on over there. Like, essentially what is happening is Israel is pushing Palestine out. So they Googled it on the show. It was like a map of Palestine and Israel over the past 20 years or something, and it just shows its progressions. So I'm going to Google it now so I can tell you exactly what to look up. Yeah, okay. Map of Palestine over time. And you go to images, right? And you can see it just progressively gets smaller and smaller as Israel takes over more and more and more. And it's wild. Like, there's people over there, like Israelis are literally just kicking Palestinians out of their homes and being like, yeah, so this is my house now. And you have like video footage of the Palestinians like, no, but this is my house. I fucking built this. I live here. And they're like, nah, if I don't take your house, someone else is going to take it. So I'm just going to take it. And the problem is there's no rules or there's no punishment for the Israelis. It's only the Palestinians that get punished. So it's fucked. So like, it just goes to show how like disappointing media is these days. Like, they don't fucking tell you the important stuff. They just spread this, they just spread fear or fearmonger with all this fucking COVID shit instead of telling us the actual problems that are going on overseas. Like, that's fucking wild. Absolutely wild. And she also touched on another wonderful point, in that the biggest contributors to the, I guess, negative effects on the environment are the fucking military. Specifically, she used the example of the US military being like all the chemicals they put in, the mass production of stuff, like all sorts of shit, like the money they spend on like ocean liners, blowing shit up in the fucking ocean, the test runs, the jets, like the jet fuel, all that kind of stuff that they spend money on creates way more pollution than, you or me being at home and drinking out of a plastic bottle or driving to work instead of riding to work. It's the fucking military that blow that shit way out, way more. Like, they just contribute way more than we think they do. And no one really kind of accuses them of that. It's all, big corporation this, big corporation that, you've got to do this, you've got to make sure you do that. But no one really says the military needs to change the way they do things. And, I listened to it and I was like, damn, she onto something. So if you want, I suggest you check that one out. Joe Rogan with Abby Martin. It came out last week, so it's still fresh, still at the top of the run. All right. I don't really know what the juice of this podcast is going to be today. I was going to drop the big topic that I've been teasing for a while, but I think I'm going to drop that next week. And I'll throw a bit of a teaser in at the end of this one about what it's going to be about. Just so, I don't know, mainly just so I can soundbite it and then throw it up to promote next week's podcast episode at the end of the week. Maybe before I do the question box, so that people can throw some questions in related to that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I'm just kind of going off the cuff today and taking a lot of sips of water, as you can tell, because I'm about to do that again. Yeah. How wild that guy that, the media released of him punching a horse. I thought that was fucked. So I don't like to comment on political stuff because I just feel like it's a space where, everyone's set in their ways and everyone's real argumentative and real aggressive about their opinion. But I'm going to give my opinion because this is my podcast. So what are you going to do about it? Nothing. At all. So, yeah, I saw the picture and I was like, fuck me. Like, what is this cunt doing? Wearing a free speech t-shirt, punching a fucking horse at a riot or a protest. I just thought it was fucking ridiculous. And then you see the video and he didn't actually punch the horse. He kind of like shoved it. And everyone's like, he didn't punch the horse. He just shoved it away. And it's like, oh, that's not the fucking point. That's not the fucking point. It's still wrong. Like, in my opinion, all these protests yes, I don't like being locked up. I don't like being told that you can't open businesses. I don't like being told that you're locked in your fucking house. But if you look at the way these protests, if you look at the way the government reacts to things, if you protest and the cases jump by fucking 20 or 30, then what do you think's going to happen? They're going to fucking lock you up again. Protesting and it at this time does fuck all. Why don't you keep that, wait until things open up, and then protest? And you know what would happen? Fucking 10 times the people would show up. Because everyone would be like, yeah, the way they handled that was wrong. So we need to change that. We need to change things. Doing it now is just going to make their reaction or make the way they handle things harsher. They're going to turn up the fucking heat because they need to send a message. And that's like, yeah, that's wrong. But so's going out there fucking gathering in, what was it, like 15,000 people or something? Like this, as they say, this strand of fucking COVID spreads pretty quickly. So like, yes, I understand. I get why people protest, and I understand it, and it's fair enough. But at the same time, like, I think there's a time and place for it, and I think right now is not the time, because I want things to open back up. And if, I'm speaking for Victoria at the moment, if this protest that happened on the weekend causes the cases to jump and shit has to stay locked down for another fucking 2 weeks, I'm blaming every single one of you fuckwits who went and protested, because it's your fault, not mine, not anyone else's. You're out there saying that you're the voice of the people that are being, locked in at home, but are you really? If you're going out there increasing the fucking lockdown? No. So that's my opinion. And I guess if you don't like that, then you're entitled to your own fucking opinion. So nothing I can do about it. Anyway, I got that off my chest. That was that was a bit of a rant there, wasn't it? Fuck. Anyway, if you're still listening, there was a topic. I received a message from a gentleman by the name of Patrick with some questions. With a specific question. He was the one who suggested that ripper name that I've already forgotten again. Fuck, bro. Sort your shit out. The Mindset Manifesto. He was the one who suggested that. And it was basically tips on pulling yourself out, or tips on damage control when you're in the shit. When like the shit hits the fan and nothing's going your way. How the fuck do you pull yourself out? So basically, if my example on Saturday, if I hit the wall at 4 hours and I still had to ride another 2 hours, not hit the wall at 3.5 hours and only had half an hour to go. So the way I've been the way I've been told and the way I've kind of handled this thing is I'll use 2 examples. So I'll use 2 bays and then I'll use my Ironman because I hit the same place in both of them. So firstly, 2 bays. This was a couple of years ago. This was 2020, start of 2020, and I did hit a place where I was like, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't feel my feet were in, I was just in a horrible state physically. And I think nutrition-wise too, I didn't eat nearly as much as I should have, and I didn't drink enough stuff either. So I was pretty fucked up. And I didn't really have much experience in being in that place. Because a lot of the shit I'd done prior to that was, the only time I really probably felt that was the ride, the 16-hour ride I did with Ben in like September or something. Anyway, not the point. So yeah, I felt that it was I still had probably 2.5, 3 hours left in that run. Maybe it was 2 hours. And I was like, I'm fucked. But the only way I'm going to get through, the only way I'm going to finish this and be able to stop being fucked up is to keep running and finish it. And I just kind of, I don't know, you go into a zombie state, and I just tried to keep drinking my fuel and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I was like, I'm not walking. I was very stubborn on the fact I'm not going to walk until I get to less than 10 Ks to go. Or less, I think it was like 5. I'm not going to walk until, that's right. I was like, I'm not going to walk until I get to 15 Ks to go. Because I was like, that's a Sunday run day. Back then, Ben and I used to run 15 Ks every Sunday. And I was like, 15 Ks is a Sunday run day. I know I can do that. I've just got to get there. And then I can take a little walk break. And then I'll start running. And I will finish this, in no time. And I got to the 15 Ks left. I don't know if I got there, but because my watch was fucking up. So I got to around what I thought was 15 Ks left, and I was like, I'm just going to keep going to 10. Got to 10, and I was like, all right, I'm going to keep going to 5, and then I almost got to 5, and then there was this hill that was real sandy, and I was like, I'll walk up this hill, and walked up the hill, got to the other side, and kept running. And I don't know, I just kind of tricked myself into getting through it, and I honestly think I fluked it. Like, if it was any longer than it was, I would have been in a bit of fucking strife. Like, I probably would have fucking... It would have taken me a hell of a lot longer because I wouldn't have had the mental fortitude to say, all right, you've only got this long left. you can suck it up and you can pull through. So now I'm going to use the example of my Ironman. I hit this stage with like within the first 6Ks of my run, and knowing I've still got, I don't know how long it was, so obviously 42, 42 minus 6, 36Ks. So knowing I still had 36Ks was rough. Like that was mentally, that was hard. And my solution to that was not the same. It wasn't just, all right, grit your teeth and get through it. It was, all right, how am I going to make sure that I actually finish this fucking race with a respectable time and not having to, DNF or walk to the finish and blow everything out of proportion. And that was, my approach to that was more methodical and well thought out. So I knew that averaging 6-minute Ks would get me around 4 hours. I think 4:15 or something like that. And I started blowing up at the 6 or 10K mark, like my heart rate, my feet, everything was hurting. Oh boy. Everything was hurting. So my approach to that was, okay, I need to make sure I am on top of my hydration. I need to get something when I go through every aid station. I need to have a gel every, 90 minutes-ish. And I need to try and steady my heart rate and steady the flow. And that's where I was like, all right, if I run a K and then walk 50 to 100 meters, run a K, walk 50 to 100, and if I keep repeating that, I will get there eventually. And that ended up coming down to run 500, walk 50. And I just stuck to that plan. I was like, this will work. And I got myself back to the point where I could run a K, walk 100 meters or walk 50 meters. And I stuck to that. I was like, this is what I have to do to finish this race. And I kind of thought through the process of, I guess, getting there, I guess in a clever way, in a well thought out, well planned way. But in terms of damage control, if you're really far gone, it's fucking hard, but you need to just you need to focus on, I guess, in the future, you need to focus on an hour. Like if you've bonked or bombed out hard, you need to think 45 minutes, an hour in the future. You can't think, like, you need to plan ahead. So you need to say, all right, I need to take on board a lot of sugar, I need to take some shit. Like I need to get stuff in me so that in half an hour, I'll start feeling more like myself. Because you have to understand that the next 30 minutes or the next 40 minutes are going to fucking suck, especially if you're in it. Say if you're in it for 6 hours and you bomb out at the 3-hour mark, from 3 to 4 hours is going to be shit. But if you get on top of it, like if you've bombed at the 3-hour and you start fueling and getting stuff in to try and replenish what you've lost, you're never going to be back to 100%, but you can get yourself to the point where you can keep moving and feel better. But it's going to take half an hour for that to take effect. So you need to get on it as soon as you fucking can and start to pull yourself back. A lot of people make that mistake I make that mistake, not as well, is not fueling early enough in a ride. Like if you've got a long ride or a long run, you need to get onto shit straight away within the first hour. You need to start popping, having gels or having some fruit, electrolytes. You need to be consuming shit within that first hour because it's going to get you later on. You can't wait until you're thirsty or you can't wait until you're hungry because then it's too late. You've let it go. So that's where I fucked up on the weekend. I don't drink enough at the moment too because I'm not mentally, focused on racing and stuff like that. I'm just going out there enjoying my ride. 4 hours is like, it's a long time, yeah, but sorry. In my head, I'm like, I'll be fine. I can wing 4 hours, but I can't. That's not the way it goes, especially if you're riding into a fucking headwind for 2 hours. So you've just got to plan ahead, and you've got to have a backup plan. And my backup plan is strip everything down, keep it simple, get in what you can to try and get yourself right within the next half an hour, and just keep stuff simple and keep rolling, keep moving forward. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, just keep moving, and replenish those stores. It depends what it is too. Like if you've bonked energy wise, then get fuel in and then let it settle and you'll eventually feel better. But if you started to cramp and stuff like that, that's a bit more complicated. Salt tablets are good, but yeah, then again, once the cramps set in, then like you're in for a fucking shit day. And I guess another way to get better at it is if you're in those situations more often, you're gonna know how to handle them. Don't go out and put yourself in those situations because it's not fun, and they're not. It's not always like it's not a safe way to do things. But at the same time, you learn, like, the more you're in those situations, you learn how to handle them, and you learn that you can come out the other side. You've just got to put your head down and keep moving, I suppose. Anyway, there was a mini topic, I suppose, I wanted to touch on this week. It was the thought of don't rush progress, don't rush things. Like, I know Ben and I always talk about this all the fucking time, and it's like we always look back on where we were the year before. And every year we've looked back on where we were the year before, and we've come so fucking far. We've learned so many different new things, and we've taken leaps and bounds into understanding different concepts and different training principles and stuff like that, and how to go about different things. Every year we get better and better at it. It's wild. So I just love the concept of, never, what is it? You never stop learning. So you need to be patient with your learning. You need to be patient with your progress. And each year, I highly recommend looking back on how far you've come. Fuck doing what do they call it at the end of the year? New Year's resolutions. Fuck doing New Year's resolutions. Look back on how far you've come on the previous year and give yourself a pat on the back. And then do the same for the year that's coming up. Just improve. Put yourself in situations, because you always learn from being in situations. Being in challenging situations, I should say. Put yourself in challenging situations and you will fucking learn heaps. Like this year, I've learned so much just from my training, just from doing my Ironman. Like, I look back on where I was last year and fucking hell. I keep yawning. Sorry. Yeah, fucking hell, last year. Bro, I've come so far this year. Not just from a training maturity perspective. Like, I've learned this year the value of rest and recovery and the value of sensible training and planned training, not just doing whatever the fuck you want whenever you want. And I've learned how I guess fatigue can be in a lot of different forms, and it can come in different ways, like physically, mentally, all sorts of different aspects. It can hit you. And I think doing my Ironman, it taught me all those things. And now too, like, I'm learning the mental fatigue of it all. Like, I just don't have that. If I'm tired at the moment, well, maybe not now, but a few weeks ago, if I was really tired, really struggling at a set, I would just be like, ugh, fuck it. Like, I don't have to push this hard. It doesn't matter. Like, I let it go. Like, I don't have to hit the target. It's not really that important. Whereas I think this week just gone, I kind of got a bit of that savagery back. I was like, if there was so I'll use the prime example. Let me just take a drink of water again. Sorry. What am I talking about? I don't need to apologize to you guys. You're listening because you like listening. Also, thank you to everyone who's listening. Fucking hell, you guys are fucking champions. Keep sharing with your mates. The listens or the downloads, podcasting lingo, are going up, which is very nice. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so if you think any of your mates would like to listen or like the concepts I touch on, then please share. I don't know what I was talking about before because my brain just blanked out. Wild. Oh man, I wish I could fucking remember. I had a good nugget of information that was there. What were we talking about? What was I talking about? I was talking about progress and learning and coming really far in life, wasn't I? And then I learnt a lot from my Ironman about resting, mental. That's right. So the example I was going to use to demonstrate how I've got my mental savagery back was at the start of last week. I had a set on the trainer that was three 3-minute intervals at not 400 watts. You fucking high? No way. 335 watts with 2 minutes recovery in between. And that fucking sucked. I barely made it through that. And then on the Friday, or the Thursday, I should say, I had the same, but it was 5-minute blocks at the same wattage. And I was like, there is no fucking way I'm going to be able to do this. I struggled with the 3-minute blocks. How the fuck am I going to do 5? Anyway, we got there and did the first one. It sucked. Then did the second one. It hurt at the 3-minute mark. I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get 2 minutes out. Got it. And then I got to the last one. I was like, fuck, well, I'm not letting this one go. It's the last one. And I got it. And I was like, all right, so obviously we're back in that department. Like, I've got the capacity to push now. I've got the capacity to push that extra 10, 20% that I didn't have before. So it's nice to have that back. I just don't have the capacity for the fucking ski erg at the moment. But yeah, going back to not rushing progress. You don't want to, like, yes, everyone wants to get to the end goal. Everyone wants to rush there and get to the end goal. But unless you enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. I actually spoke about this, not in this context, but something similar to with my coach last night. Like, I enjoy training. I really do. I don't do Ironman races because I want to be a professional Ironman. I don't do that. I do it because I want to do it. It's fun. Like, triathlons are fun. I enjoy the training. I enjoy every aspect of it. So for me, if I was just to have a program and follow the program and train for the rest of my life, I would be fucking happy. Races are fun. Training is fun. So I suppose for me to rush to the end goal would mean I would miss out on all those fun training rides, all those fun swims with mates, all those fun runs, like everything. I'd miss all of that, which is fucking preposterous. Preposterous. That's a fun word to say. Oh, I've heard this word get said a lot lately, and it's like, I love it. It's my favorite word. It's nefarious. How fucking fun is nefarious to say? It's the best. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about, you miss out on all the fun shit, the stuff in between. If I was just to skip to fucking races, that would be shithouse. So you got to enjoy the process. And in that process is ticking off all the small little boxes, all the goals that seem insignificant that can actually be better. A prime example is me drinking water. If I could tick off 3 liters of water a day, each day, every day, then it would become habitual. And then to the point where it would stop me from being, I would recover better. I would get back to being able to, function at 100% quicker than I would if I drank as much as I do now, which is fuck all. Well, not during this episode though. How about that? I'm about to take another sip. Fuck. Try not to gulp on a mic too, because that's horrible. Anyway. So yeah, it's the little goals. Like, if you set little goals for yourself on a daily basis, tick them all off, then you look back at the end of the year, you'll be like, holy shit, I achieved something fantastic. But if you just blow those little goals off because you're like, what's the purpose of them? You'll get to the end of the year and you'll be like, fuck, if only I had done this, each day, every day, or each week, every week, I'd be in a much better position than I am now. So keep that in mind, please, because it's important. It's the little things. It's not always the big things. Benjamino did make a good suggestion. He's like, you should create a Whoop group. A Whoop group? Sounds fun. A Whoop group for Towing the Line listeners. And I think that would actually be pretty cool. So if any of you guys have a Whoop, I'll probably make a Whoop group, Whoop team, and we can all join and suss it out and see how many of us there are. It'll probably just end up being me and Ben, which would be fun because I'm going to have good competition. But yeah, so that's something that's, in the pipeline, I suppose. I'm just going to run through my notes, and see if I've ticked everything important off. I had a big list of notes, but I didn't really have a podcast. As I said, I didn't really have a podcast genre or message. I didn't really have a clear podcast message today. I do plan on I'll wait till a little bit later in the episode, but I'll touch briefly on what I'm going to talk about next week, because it's a big frickin' why did I say frickin'? I'm swearing like a piece of shit this whole episode, and then all of a sudden I decide to throw in a frickin'. Jesus. Alright, so I'm gonna Sorry, I feel like I wasn't talking to the mic there. I'm going to answer some questions now, actually, because I feel like there was a lot of good ones today. Not a lot of good ones today, a lot of good ones the other day. But I'm going to read them out today, so I suppose they will be asked today. Anyway, moving on. Do you guys ever love looking back on memories on Facebook? I look back all the time and I see like the exercises I used to do, Instagram, the exercises I used to do, the workouts I used to do, and like my form on some of them. And I'm like, oh, bro, what the fuck were you doing? It's, yeah, oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. Not very happy, not very nice. Anyway, it's one of my fun pastimes. So, I'm going to go back to question 1. It is any points of advice for someone training for their first marathon endurance event? Yes, I do have a few points. One of the biggest points of advice I can give you for that kind of stuff is don't set any time goals. Don't set any, just aim to finish. Go out there with the intention of finishing, because like a marathon is a long fucking day. You have to, so the biggest one is just your goal is to finish that race. That's it. Nothing else. And then other tips or pointers would be, or things to keep in mind, is you're gonna have to, you have to understand that it's a long fucking day, and even the best, fittest athletes struggle at stages in the race. Like, you are gonna go, it's a roller coaster of emotions. I actually spoke about this morning with a couple of people while running. It's not ever just, oh, great, happy days all the way. Like, it's a roller coaster. So you're gonna have good times, you're gonna have fucking great times, and then you're gonna have absolute rat shit times where you are feeling like you are gonna die. It's probably a bit of an exaggeration. You won't feel like you're gonna die, but it's gonna suck. It's not gonna feel great. So, but the positive to that is, when you go down and you feel that way, you're always gonna bounce back up, and you have to remember that. And it's hard at the time, like when you're feeling like, holy shit, my body feels like it's gonna fucking stop. Just don't stop. Keep going, because in 5 or 10 minutes time, you're going to feel great again. You won't feel as good as you did at the start, but you're going to feel much better than you did when you were in the hole, and it'll just keep repeating. That roller coaster keeps repeating until you finish, which you will, because you've got it. It's just it's a mental game. You have to understand that, yeah, all right, you're going to hurt, it's going to be painful, but you're going to get to the other end. And when you do, you'll be so fucking wrapped because you've just run your marathon, which is a huge achievement. Fucking hell. Like, I remember when I finished my first marathon, my first and only pure marathon, that fucking sucked especially the last, it was probably around the 36K mark. Yeah, it hurt a lot. My feet were killing me. I had blisters. And I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do this, but I knew I was going to finish it. I just tried to block out the pain. I was like, it'll get better. And it did. The last 2Ks were great, and then finished. So, yeah, main point of advice is just aim to finish. Don't be afraid to fucking walk. Don't be afraid. Because like I said, if you hold 6-minute Ks or around that mark for a marathon, that gets you around 4 hours, which is bloody fantastic. So if you can walk, and still average around that much, then you've fucking killed it. So, yeah, don't be afraid to walk, and I guess be prepared mentally for the fact that you're gonna face some dark stages, but you're also gonna have some killer fun times at the same time. So don't stress too much about it. What is my favorite food? Well, I guess at the moment I've been smashing fucking falafels, eh? Caitlin and I are actually going to have them for dinner as well. Falafel wraps. Just, pita bread with a falafel. You get the falafels from Woolies. I can't remember the brand, but they come in like a red tub, and they are fucking awesome. Just bang them in the air fryer, put a bit of hummus on the pita bread, throw the falafel in, a bit of lettuce, a bit of fucking onion, and you're good to go. They're amazing at the moment, so that's probably my favourite show. Fave TB show. I'm assuming you meant TV show, but I'm going to answer your question. Fave TB show is... What is it? What even is TB? To be advised? No, so fave TV show. Well, That's a very complicated question because there's a lot. So I'm gonna go with at the moment my favorite all time. I'm not gonna go with at the moment. I'm gonna go with all time. So my favorite anime all time, obviously Dragon Ball. That takes the cake on everything. So I can't count that as an answer because it's gonna win every argument that I have. But my favorite TV show of all time, actually Seinfeld. That's one of the ones I can rewatch over and over and over again, and it never gets old. I love it. It's hilarious. The jokes are still relevant. So yeah, probably Seinfeld. But at the moment, I just finished watching Loki with Caitlin, and holy fuck! I don't know if any of you guys are into the Marvel shit, but their TV shows, the production value on those bad boys, holy fuck! It's amazing. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And Mandalorian too, to be honest. The production value on that is through the roof too. So if you're a Star Wars buff, Mando is great as well. Most hated / loved exercise. I'm gonna answer that in two different ways. So my most loved hated exercise at the same time is Bulgarian split squats. They are or front rack walking lunges. Are probably my most love-hated exercise because I know they're so beneficial for you. They do so much, but they fucking suck. So they're probably my most love-hated exercises. And then if I was to go my most loved exercise, as in favorite, fun, delicious, awesome exercise to do, it would be bicep curls. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually loving the feeling of squats at the moment. Like squats have been really shit for me for a long time, and the past 2 years I've put in a bit of work. Like I've figured out low bar squatting is better for me, and they're starting to feel really good. They feel strong, stable, and it's a fun movement. So I probably love squats and love GHD sit-ups because GHD sit-ups just make you feel sick. And then my most hated exercise in terms of everything, overhead press. I hate it so much. Standing military overhead press. I fucking hate it. I'm weak in my shoulders and I just don't like it at all. So that's probably my most hated exercise. If turtles were frogs, would they still sell hummus at the fish and chip shop? Well, if turtles were frogs, that means there would be a fucking heap of turtles, and would they jump? Would the turtles jump? If the turtles would jump, that would be weird, man. That means like you could have. So that means they would come from tadpoles as well. Does that mean like that halfway through the process, the tadpole would have a shell, and then it would slowly grow into a turtle that would jump? That actually kind of makes sense though, if turtles were frogs, because I feel like a turtle. If you saw a tadpole and that someone was like, this tadpole will turn into this turtle, I feel like that would make more sense because their heads kind of look like tadpoles and their tails kind of look like tadpoles as well. So I feel like turtles should have been frogs because it makes more sense that would come from a tadpole. And as for the milk bar selling hummus, I feel like I've tried to... No, the fish and chip shop. I wish the fish and chip shop sold hummus. Love having hummus on everything. So it would be great to have on chips at the fish and chip shop. But I don't know if they would still sell it if turtles were frogs because they don't sell it now. So maybe they would sell it if the turtles were frogs. Then the fish and chip shop would sell hummus. Anyway, I feel like that question was put in there to fucking throw me off. But little do you know, my brain works that way. So, Oh, here we go. Favorite go-to vegan foods when out, or go-to Uber Eats order, or top 5 foods. All right, there's a lot to unpack here, so buckle in. Favorite vegan foods when out. So when I'm out, I always lean towards a fucking nice vegan burger, eh? Vegan burger and some chips. I'll always lean towards that. They are my favorite. And pizza, which is weird because they're not really that complicated to make those things, but they're my favorite. And I'm a big fan of, like, I don't know, KFC, the Kentucky Fried Cauliflower is amazing too. And we did have, there were these chicken vegan chicken skewers at Brother Bon in Northcote. Actually does ripper chicken skewers, and they do like a fried Mongolian beef or Mongolian duck, and it's fucking amazing. The taste of it, oh, it's all in the sauce, and I fucking love that. So that's probably my answer for that. But I I'm a big fan of having burgers, so burgers are always my go-to when I go out in most places. Otherwise, like some form of faux chicken, because that usually, I mean, it's never healthy, but it's delicious. So yeah, go to Uber Eats order. I don't really order Uber Eats because I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, so can't really get it delivered. But if I was to order Uber Eats, it would be a fucking burger from Grilled, probably, with some chips. And then top 5 foods. Let's go burgers. I don't know if chips count. Chips can be a fucking food. Burgers, chips, vegan satay skewers, chicken satay skewers. Vegan. We had these vegan Peking duck bao buns, and they were amazing too. So them, and then did I say pizza? Pizza. Done. Boom. 5. Nailed it. All right. Which indoor cardio machine do you find hardest and why? So it depends on what I'm doing, but honestly, the fucking I'm a good rower. I'm a good skier because I'm tall. I got long arms and I can put my weight behind it. In like my trainer, I could count that as an indoor, but that's like, I do enjoy that. I do long training sessions on that, and I don't find it as hard as I would. Oh, I'm just yawning like a motherfucker today. I don't find it as hard as I would the assault bike. So the assault bike for me is fucking worst. It's the best, but it's the worst. Like, I don't know, the principle is the harder you fucking push into that thing, the harder it gives back. And it doesn't matter. So if you're doing a 20-second interval, if you cruise for 20 seconds, it sucks. It sucks just as much as if you were to go all out for 20 seconds. So there's no winning. You never win with the assault bike. You always lose. So the assault bike is the indoor cardio equipment that I find the hardest, for sure. Fuck me. It just kills you. It just sucks. And there was something, I listened to something or read something about it being so difficult because you're using your arms and your legs at the same time. So your body doesn't really know where to send the blood. It's just, I don't know, it confuses it. And then you can't get oxygen in because you're using the top and bottom half of your body, and it fucks you up. So the assault bike. No thanks. How the fuck does one really go about finding the right running shoes? Yeah, so that one's the fucking worst. To be honest, it's taken me a long time to kind of find a nice pair of running shoes. At the moment, I'm running in the Nike Infinity Reacts, and I fluked that by I actually got sent a pair by Rebel Sport to do a bit of Instagram ad work with them, and they fluked it. So I got given them, and they were really nice, and I've been running in them since. So before that, I was running in the Hoka Clifton 6, Hoka Ones. They're Clifton 6s, and then it's so fucking hard. It's literally trial and error, man. That's what it is. I've heard good things about Saucony, Hoka. There's another one in there, Brooks and Mizuno. I know Asics as well are good, but then it's fucking trial and error. That's really all it is. I know I haven't been. I'm gonna go before I buy another pair of shoes. But we've got a place out here in Melbourne called the Running Company, and they will actually give you a pair of shoes, throw you on a treadmill, and look at you run and see your gait. Because some shoes make you roll in, some shoes make you roll out, some shoes obviously are perfect. So it's so difficult to actually find the right pair. But I know trial and error always works. But the only thing with trial and error is it's fucking expensive. So if there's a place like the Running Company where you can actually go, try the shoes on, run, and have video footage of yourself running on a treadmill to see how the shoe responds with your feet, that's great. But I know for me, I struggled for a long time because I had weak feet, and I relied on inserts. After I did my ankle, I rushed my recovery to get back, and that fucked my foot. in terms of its strength. So I had flat feet and I didn't really have much strength in there. And since buying flatter shoes, like I wore my Reebok Nanos for ages, and they were flat, and they did a lot for my feet, flat and wide, and they did a lot for strengthening my feet. And now I'm obviously in my Vivos. I feel like my feet are stronger, and that means I have a bit more play with what shoes I wear. But seriously, if you can find a place like the running company where they will let you put shoes on, run on them, and give you feedback on that, then fucking go, please, because that'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money, because it's just a trial and error thing, and it's rough. It's rough out there, man. Do you run and cycle in Vivos too? So the answer to that is I do not. I would like to run. I don't know if I would do my full runs in my Vivos. I would like to start doing, I think I read something that you only really need to do 800 meters, maybe once or twice a week, to actually get a good benefit of barefoot running. So I would probably I want to try and introduce that into maybe as a cool down when my feet are fatigued, so that they, like, I guess, are fully vulnerable to the stimulus of running barefoot, and that's what I would adapt to, that strength in the feet. So I would like to, introduce that as maybe a cool down or something like that. But no, I do not run in my Vivos, and cycling, I wear the cleats, so I clip in. So I don't cycle in my Vivos either. I just find when I'm training, I want to train in what I'm going to race in most of the time, and my cycling shoes do cramp my feet a bit, and my runners not so much, but I suck it up. I'm wearing my Vivos 90% of the time, unless it's a Saturday, in which case I'm wearing my fucking cycling shoes most of the day. But I try and live in my Vivos for the most of the time, and then when I'm training, not so much. Do a bit of strength work in them though, because they're good for that. And last question: favorite mobility recovery stretch exercises. So my favorite above all else is the couch stretch. That's my fucking favorite. It's where you put there was actually an Instagram reel going around of, I think it was a nurse putting his hip or his knee up against the wall and his foot up against the wall, and it's a good back stretch good stretch for your hips, stops back pain. That's my favorite exercise or favorite stretch. I do it, so that's one of my stretches I will do religiously when I finish my runs and rides and stuff, because it's great for opening my hips back up, as well as a glute stretch. They're my two favorite stretches. And then I will also do like a walking hamstring stretch. I did that today after finishing the run, and it was wonderful. My hamstrings were so tight. And then obviously you walk, touch your toes, and kind of opens everything up. But my favorite is the couch stretch. That's number one. Number two, for a warm-up would be, is it the pigeon stretch? Is that the one where you kind of like step, so you put your hands on the floor like you're going to do a push-up, and then you step out wide on one of the hands, and then you so just say I will step my right leg out, then I will leave my left leg my left hand on the floor, and bring my left knee to the floor, and then I'll kind of touch the floor with my right elbow, and then open up towards the ceiling with my right elbow, and then come back down. I think that's the pigeon stretch. That's one of my favorite. I do that for a warm-up before I do anything. So that's probably more of a mobility stretch. And then if I was to pick an exercise that I think is super, super, super good in terms of mobility, strength, and stuff like that, let's say no weight Bulgarian split squats, but super strict and tempo, like touch the floor with your knee and then stop for a second and then lift up. They're killer. Like, they're great for your glutes and building strength in areas that would get neglected if you just blast and through them. So yeah, that's all the questions I got this week. I'm not going to wrap up yet, because I'm going to dive into something a little more serious. But yeah, okay, cool. So next week's episode, the big one, the one you've all been waiting for, the moment you guys have all been waiting for it'll be episode 7. This is episode 6. Yeah, so episode 7 is going to be, so let's set the scene for it. All right, guys. So I've been through a lot of stuff. My family's been through a few things. And back when I finished school, it would have been around, so I finished school in 2013. This probably occurred from 2014, maybe in 2013. I can't remember. But I developed a bit of an eating disorder, a bit of an unhealthy relationship with food, and it was pretty serious. I'm not going to go into depth with it now. That's what next week's episode is going to be about. And if this kind of stuff, I'm just giving you a heads up. If listening to things about this or hearing, it's going to be pretty fucking graphic and, uncomfortable to listen to probably. But if you're uncomfortable with shit like that and you don't like hearing about it, then please do not listen to next week's episode. I'll probably put a warning at the start, I'll give you guys a heads up, but because I'll probably chat a bit of shit first. But if you're uncomfortable with that kind of stuff, then please do not listen, because it'll turn a lot of heads, I think. I used that saying wrong. I heard Joe Rogan say something. I thought it was very funny. He was talking about a show going off, it was off its head, and he used the term shithouse. He's like, oh yeah, it was going shithouse, and I was like, in Australia, that shithouse means that was just fucking dog shit. That sucked. So I thought it's quite funny how different terms or different sayings mean different things in different places. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about just then. So it probably, in 2014, 2013 it started, and it progressively got worse. It went until I struggled with this 2013, say 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So probably 5 or 6 years. Didn't finish until midway through 2019. At the start of 2019, it was probably the worst it was ever, which was not great. And through this time, I was doing a lot of, I achieved a lot of cool things during this time. I ticked off a lot of cool events. I was probably appeared to be in the best shape of my life. A lot of people would have seen me and said, fuck man, you're in really good shape, you're doing really well, and you're really healthy and all stuff like that. And yeah, great, that's what it appeared, but the truth was not that. And a lot of people are probably coming out at the moment with revealing that they've struggled with issues like this, struggled with eating disorders. And I have wanted to talk about it for a very long time, and I just haven't. There's only 2 people that know about this in the entire fucking world. One of them's me, and the other one's Caitlin. No one else knows about these. No one else has heard. No one else, not even my family, knows about this. So if any of them listen to this podcast, they're going to know. So yeah, I've never told anyone. It's been a deep, dark secret of mine. Struggled with it for a long time. I have referred to those years as the dark years. The dark years where I suffered in silence it was shithouse. My using that term again. Yeah, it was wasn't a pleasant experience. Wasn't something I would wish anyone to go through. But I wanted to talk about it because I told Caitlin, it would have been when we first started going out. So it's end of 2019 or something like that. Because I struggled with this until mid 2019, and since then I've come a long way, come a massive way. And I was like, I really wanted to talk about it, and I was like, no, I need to do my Ironman first, and then the thought of maybe doing a podcast about it. I was going to initially do an Instagram live, and I was like, not an Instagram live, like an IGTV series, and I was like, nah. If I launch a podcast, then I can talk about it on the podcast, because it'll give me a longer time frame to actually discuss it and go into things and open up about it. So that is what next week's episode will be about. I'm going to do, so let's just do a little bit of a teaser, eh? You guys can say it with me. Say it with your chest. So on next week's episode, I will be going into a bit of depth with my struggles with a bit of an eating disorder I had for probably 5 or 6 years between 2013, 2014, and 2019. Was not a fun phase of my life. I appeared to be healthy when I wasn't. So if you want to hear about that, tune in to Towing the Line next week for that ripper episode. So that was a bit of a soundbite. I'll chunk that one out later, so that I can use that to promote this motherfucker. I'll promote next week's episode to try and get people to listen. And I really like what I want to do with this. I want to be open. Want to share shit with you guys. And I want to get it off my chest. I want to say the stuff that I've been sitting on for a long time. And that's one of them. That's probably the biggest thing. So the dark years, the suffering in silence will end next week, on next week's episode. As for this week's episode, I think I'm going to wrap it up. What are we at? An hour and 10 minutes, almost an hour and 11. So today I came in. I don't even know what I'm going to call today's episode. It's just been a bunch of fucking everything. Maybe I'll do a bit of clickbait and talk it. I don't even know. Anyway, I'll figure that out after. It's not for you guys to worry about. You'll see the title when you're listening to it. That's all I got for this week. I just went off the cuff and it actually worked out not too bad. So maybe I'll do a couple of these episodes in the coming weeks. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Please share with your mates. Comment or not comment. Follow. Give us a follow on Instagram if you can. Leave a comment on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, as I said, please share with your mates. Like, if you think they would enjoy it, obviously. If you don't think they would enjoy it, then don't share it with them. It's very simple. I really appreciate the support, and this is definitely something I'm gonna continue doing because I love the freedom of it all. So I hope you guys have a wonderful fucking week. This episode will obviously be live on Sunday, so if you listen to it as soon as it comes out, then well done. If not, enjoy your day at work, enjoy your week, enjoy your training, and I will speak to you next week.